Hello and welcome to this week's challenge. It is so good to be back. I know I'm like the queen of last minute, aren't I? But when I have a download, I don't sit around and wait on it. When something is calling me, I feel like I've just got to do it instantly. So I don't know about you, but I've been hearing a lot of negative stuff that's going around. Recession is coming, business is hard, fuel prices are going up, there's all kinds of stuff going on in the world. And yes, that stuff is going on. And I remember back in 2007 when we had one of the hardest recessions that the UK has ever experienced, and we'd only just started our business not long before. Don't know how many of you remember the 2007 recession in the UK. I don't know if it happened all around the world. I can see some hands going up backstage there. But yeah, so I'd built my business from 2002. I'd built my branding, marketing and design agency, and the guy that I went into business with had been building his business. And in 2007, we brought those businesses together and we created one bigger business, and we brought all of our teams together, and we decided we were going to build that agency together. And within a short period of time, just as we started to build up and we started getting the team in place, and we were starting to really thrive, and the recession hit. And I remember, first of all, being really scared of that word. I went into fear because everyone else seemed to be in fear around it. And then I thought to myself, well, if we are responsible for our conscious thoughts, and if we are able to create from the thoughts that we have, and I didn't know anything about the law of attraction really back then, surely we can consciously create no matter what's going on. As long as we are conscious about what we're creating, we can change and shift the way, at least in our environment, we make a difference with our business and with our clients. And that's ultimately what we did. And we said, look, we're going to create our own little brand building bubble here. We said to all of our staff, we obviously can't stop you from doing it, but what we'd really appreciate is don't listen to the news, or if you listen to it, don't buy into it. Come in, get your head in the game, and let's focus on how we can serve. Let's be that agency that serves in the biggest way, that really delivers on our promises. And let's see what happens. What's the worst that can happen with us just being, in that energy and vibrancy of service and impact? And ultimately, our agency blossomed and grew. We were taking team members on to service the amount of clients that were coming on board, while other agencies were going under because they were not just listening to what was going on. Be conscious about what's going on. But if you buy into it as well, you can very easily start taking on other people's thoughts and opinions and start to transfer those beliefs onto your own business. And I was on a mission to prove that what you consciously think is what you consciously create. And I know we have the amazing Nadine Lewis backstage, who is all about being a conscious creator. Well, I didn't even know that I was creating consciously back then. All I knew was my gut instinct was telling me, stop listening to what's going on out there and start listening to what's going on in here. And what in here was telling me was get focused and serve. Get focused and serve. They were like the things that were really calling me. And that's what we did. And our business grew as other businesses really, really struggled. And then, of course, those struggling businesses started to come to us, and we were helping them to thrive as well. So I want to really, on day one, this is a 3-day challenge, a 3-day sprint. And this is a sprint. So we run sprints within the Ripple Makers Mastermind every month. It's usually the second week of every month is a sprint week. So every day, or a number of days in that week at 7 p.m. During that week, we go live and we deep dive on different topics, and we start off with a problem on day 1 and we've solved it by day 5. Well, this month, because I'm on holiday now, technically, because I've arrived today, but I'm on holiday next week. I'm done next week. I'm having a full week off next week. So I've brought the sprint forward so that nobody misses out and we can still get this done. But what I really woke up with a calling in my heart this morning was, this isn't just for us here. I think for those of you that are joining us from the One Drop Movement Facebook group, yes, this would usually be just for our Ripple Makers as mastermind members. And of course, mastermind members can all come backstage. You've got access to the links to come and join me personally. And I'm going to be working through this personally with mastermind members. For those of you that are in the group, I still want you to benefit from the conversation that we're creating over this next 3 days, because like, what would £3,000, dollars or euros mean to you if you had that in your bank account in the next 3 days? And I want to know what that would mean to you. Guys and girls that are backstage on Zoom, if you would be so good as to comment in the Facebook group, if that would be great if you could do that there, so that other people in the Facebook group get to experience being part of something bigger than them just going through this on their own. But, you know, like, what would it mean to you if you had an extra £3,000 in your business in the next like 72 hours? It'll be interesting to see what stuff comes up for you when you think about that. So don't focus on any stuff right now. Let's just focus on what would it be like. Let's set the vision. What would it be like if you had an extra £3,000, dollars or euros in your account by the end of this week? And what would you do with it? Would you invest it? Would you treat yourself? Would you pay it forward? Would you give it to a charity? Is there a cause close to your heart that you've been wanting to invest in? Let's just have a look at some of the answers here as well. If you do comment on Facebook, you can comment in here as well. Just if you can make sure you comment on Facebook too. It'd be and create momentum once I start the process. I would save it. Yeah, perfect. You know, there are many things that we do in our life that at first we believe isn't possible. Maybe when you took your first steps, I mean, you wouldn't have been conscious about that because you would have been a baby and you'd have been taking your first steps, but I'm pretty sure you fell on your ass a few times. I'm pretty sure that happened. And then you got back up, and then you fell over, and then you got back up, and then, you know, mum would be cheering you on, and then you took 2 steps, and then you take 3 steps. And you know, that feeling of when you, maybe those of you that learn to drive for the first time, any of the things that you've done for the first time will have felt a bit out of your comfort zone, I guess. You'd have been in a bit of your oh fuck zone. However, it didn't stop you from doing it because you had a vision for what it was that you were doing it for. And that's really the key thing. And today is all about mindset. Today is all around your mindset, around how you are going to get out there and do what you're doing. So I've got 10 things that I'm going to go through in this training. Of course, those of you that are in the mastermind that are backstage with me, of course, I can open up for questions with you guys backstage. But I do want to make sure that I at least get through these 10 points. I don't want to kind of train ride through all of them, but I do want to make sure we get through them in this session, because I want them to start sparking some ideas for you. Because at this moment in time, I'd love to know, like, what is coming up for you? When I say to you, let's make 3K in 3 days, what comes up? What is your instant, immediate gut reaction? Are you thinking to yourself, yes? Or are you like, oh, fuck, what have I got to sell? Or like, what's coming up for you? Are there limiting beliefs that are coming up for you? Are there little lurkers that are lurking there? Are you actually excited about that? When you think about, well, you know, if I'm going to bring in 3K in 3 days, shit, that means I've got to sell something. Or, you know, to sell something that, you know, salespeople are, you know, whatever you associate being, you know, a salesperson, whatever you connect that to, oh, that means that I'm going to be one of those people as well. Whatever it is that's coming up for you, that will always come up for you, no matter what the amount is, whether it's £100, whether it's £1,000, £10,000 or £100,000. There's actually nothing stopping you from achieving any of those figures other than what's up here and the limitations that we put on ourselves. And actually, by you limiting yourself, what you're doing is limiting those that you could serve. Because if you're not receiving money, it means you can't be serving somebody. For you to be receiving, you have to be giving. And if you're not receiving enough, then that tells me you're not giving enough, or you're not giving enough in a way that asks for the reciprocation and the value exchange, the energy exchange. So maybe you've been giving it all away and not asking for the money. Now, I don't know, because there are so many of you going through this process, I don't know what your story is or what it is that's holding you back or what is coming up for you when you think about that 3K in 3 days. I'm just going to have a look on Facebook and see in the group, see if I can see any of the comments that are coming in. Let's have a look here. Okay, small mindset limitations. Made 1,200 in 3 days, has needed it for a vet bill. Amazing. Lisa, thank you for sharing that. But that's the thing, isn't it? Because it's like, you've got a reason. When you have a reason, right? When your family is in a burning building and you've got to raise 50 grand to get them out of that burning building, you don't just sit there and think, oh no, you get resourceful with the resources you have. Right. So when you're building your business and you're building your brand, it's not about the lack of resources. It's actually how resourceful you can get to create that. And it's really exciting and nervous at the same time, says Jackie. Thank you for your honesty. John, hello. I've made 3K today. All right. Straight out of the gate. We haven't even started yet. So I'm expecting another 3K over the next 3 days from you, Mr. Beamson. I can't see for some reason it's not showing me all of the comments there. But, I think the key thing is that if there are any little lurkers in your mindset, anything that's lurking, I want to bust through some of those today so that you start to create the possibilities around what you can do. I remember I invested in a program. It's actually the same program that John and I are on. I won't name it, but it's a program that we're both on together. And I remember, like, I just invested a huge amount in something else, but I knew that I wanted to invest in this other thing too. And I said to them, oh God, I really want to invest in this. I want to go for it. But yeah, like, I've just invested in this other thing. And they were like, well, how could you create more? How could you create more? And I thought, what a great question, because then you don't go into, fuck, how can I afford it? Or, it's, can I afford it? Can I afford not to? That classic cliche. But it's like, well, what could I do to create it? And I just sat down and I thought, I've got some clients that would like to go faster, that I'm doing things with, but actually they'd like to go faster. Well, what if I gave them the opportunity and I opened up like 6 days out of my whole year? Because I'd never do one-to-one coaching anymore. What if I opened up 6 days? And I spoke to Greg and I said, what would you feel like if I opened 6 days up to take people out on the boat? You drive the boat and I'll coach them at the front of the boat, £2,500 for the day. They come out, we take them to lunch, they have a whole experience, they're part of the crew on the boat, have a great time, but they also walk away with whatever it is they need, whether it's their messaging, their branding, whatever it is that they need, we'll just do it, we'll get it done in that day. And he said, yeah, I'm up for that. And so literally I went through all the people that I already knew that I thought were ready to go to that next level. I spoke to maybe 9 of them and 6 of them were booked within 24 hours. And I just paid for that investment that I wanted. So it's not about, can I make it? It's about, what am I making it for? What's your reason why, right? If you haven't got a good enough reason why, then you're just going to fuck about and your goal will get longer and the amount of time it takes you to do stuff. If you give yourself an hour to do something, you do it in an hour, don't you? You give yourself 3 days to do something, you do it in 3 days. You give yourself a whole year or you don't give yourself a goal at all, then it's just a whenever, isn't it? So I'm going to, I've made loads of notes while I've been traveling. I woke up at about 4 o'clock this morning, literally walked through the door, grabbed a glass of water, set myself up. And I think if you've watched the video that I put out earlier, I love the fact that when I walked out here, this is my office for the next 14 days, not that I'm going to be working very much, but when I do stuff, I'll be doing it from here. And I love the fact that my dad has set up this archery station in the conservatory. So I've got bows and arrows and a target right in front of me. And I was like, that could not have been more perfect for us to run this challenge, because we've got this freaking target right in front of us. Yeah. And actually that is going to be your activity for today, is to get a sheet of paper. I want you to draw a round circle on it, get a plate, draw around it, whatever you want to do. You know, draw your own target, color it in whatever colors you want. I don't care how you do it, make it your target. And in the middle of that target, I want you to be very clear about why you are going to go for this 3K. What are you investing in? What are you putting it towards? How is this, you know, 3K isn't necessarily a massive life-changing amount, right? But it could be a life-changing amount for you if it's your next investment, or if it's you investing in getting published, or investing in, you know, going to that next level. If that means that you can grow faster, if you can afford a coach that you can't afford now, right? You pay as much as you can to afford the coach that you can afford at the time to get you to that next level. If you can afford to do that, you know, just whatever it is you're putting it towards, make it a really good thing. It might even be a fuck it list thing, right? But the thing is, when you create things, in my experience anyway, and having worked with over 65,000 entrepreneurs over the last 23 years, I see this a lot. When you create goals that are about yourself, you don't tend to hit them as often as when you create a goal that is going to make a difference to someone else. So when you say, I want to go, I don't know, skydiving, it's going to, you know, I could put 3,000 into skydiving. Oh, that'd be amazing. And you would get excited about it. But then I don't know, there's something in it for many people where they think, oh, but it's treating myself. And then the guilt and shame starts to come up around that. And our lovely Anya Berry, if any of that's starting to come up for you, make sure you reach out to Anya, have a session with Anya. Or we've got Nadine, there's Jackie, Sammy, that we've got Judy, that there's so many amazing specialists in this community. I'm pretty sure you'll find the right specialist for you to help you bust through that shit if there is anything that's coming up for you. I am not that expert. There are experts here that do that. But the key thing is that if anything is rising up for you, then it's always going to continue rising up for you. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to continue saying, I'm not going to reward myself because I'm not worth it? Or are you actually going to put something that's for you on that target and say, do you know what? I am fucking worth it. And actually, it's my duty to ensure that I'm being the best demonstration of what I am telling others to do. It's my duty to do that and to demonstrate I'm doing that. So if you are, I don't know, a yoga teacher, for example, then what would that say to all of your clients if you invested in yourself to go and do that next level certification in a beautiful part of the world? And while you were there, you started talking to people about how you're going to run your retreat. You can pre-sell your retreat. You know, there's things that you can sell you might not even have yet. You might not even have them. It might just be a concept in your mind. But once you get that first person that buys it, now it's a real thing. Now you've got a reason why to create it. Now you've got a reason why to make it happen. Hello. Lexi dog has come to join us. Thank you. Go on, go out, go play with the chickens or something. So there are 10 things I just want to explore with you, and we're going to dive in a little bit deeper with these over the next 2 days. Here we go. Right. So today is really about your mindset, because the first thing, I'm starting to steam up here, the first thing that that we really need to understand, if you're going to go for it and you're going to say, like I did, I had a really strong reason why I wanted to invest in that. It was about, I don't know, £8,000 or £9,000. Well, at that time, like I say, I'd already invested in something else, literally within days of me investing in that. It was like, well, how can I create the money to invest in that? Because that will make me a better person in business. It will make my customers' experience of me so much better that they deserve for me to invest in this thing. So not only is this good for my business, but it's good for all the other businesses that invest in me as well. It's my duty to make sure that this happens. How can I be of service in the biggest way to someone for the value of £2,500, that they could walk away with something that they feel like, yes, I got my value, and I'm like, yes, I've been able to invest in that, so now I can invest in many others going forward in future. So you see how that reason why is a really important thing. So I'm running this challenge as part of our hashtag 1 year no fear challenge. And I know that those of you that went through my fears challenge, which is in, I think, well, it's in one of the guides, guide 8, something like that, in the guide section of the Facebook group, which was all around fear. And we really dived into the fear of being visible, all the reasons why people weren't getting visible. And we covered those. And out of that was born this hashtag 1 year no fear, which many of our ripple makers are going through right now. And as they're posting, I'm seeing the hashtag 1 year no fear. I'd love you to continue that journey as you're going through this. Keep hashtagging 1 year no fear. Like when you step out of your comfort zone and you do something that you think, yeah, I wouldn't have done that before. Fuck it, I'm going to do it. Give it a hashtag 1 year no fear, because that's what this is all about. And ultimately, because you are now on a process for the next 3 days, you're in a process which is kind of about you and how you are serving, but it's not so much about you anymore. And when you became an entrepreneur, that's when it stopped becoming about you. When you went into business, it's not about you anymore. So when you think, oh, I don't, you know, I'm not enough, or I'm not visible enough, or I'm not, you know, social enough, I'm not doing enough, I'm, you know, when you're thinking all these things and these fears and limitations come up for you, you're focusing on the wrong person, because it's not about you anymore. And when you start to go into any of those limitations that came up for you, when I said, what does it mean to you? Like, what do you feel when I say to you, come on, we're going to earn 3K in 3 days? What does that feel like? What comes up for you? What bubbles up? You know, the way you're going to get around that is to say, do you know what? Actually, it's not about me. It's not about me anymore. It's about those that I serve. So the very first thing, the number one thing, and I'd love for you to capture this in the notes, in the comments under on Facebook, so that other people that go through this process not only capture this through you, but also as you're typing it in, you're also taking it in a lot more as well. So we're going to dive into the 10 things today. Then I want you to make your target and get clear about what are you going to invest that 3K on? Why are you doing it? Why is it important for you to do it? Not just because, well, I just want an extra 3K. That's not good enough. What are you going to invest it in? What are you moving towards that makes this a really strong target for you, that gives you all the feelings that you need? Because it's the feelings that's going to create that 3K. There's no strategies or tactics or actions that you don't already know. I'm not going to teach you any of those things, because you already know exactly what you need to do. And I know you fucking do, because you've done every course on the planet. How many of you have already learned social media? You've learned content, you've done stuff with your branding, you know, you've done loads of this before. So there's something that's getting in the way. And if we can shift that and get you towards your target, you know, maybe your goal hasn't been big enough or strong enough. So the number one thing, the place that we're going to start is to have a really strong reason why for them. So you've got your reason why for you, but we've got our strong reason why for them as well. We've got to really feel into, well, why would somebody invest in me? What's going to be their strongest reason why? I've got my reason why, but what's their reason why? So we've got to put you in the shoes of your dream customer to get you in a position where you're going to feel really comfortable with what you're promoting. So one of the ways that I get around this, and so I want you to type these things into the chat for me. One of the ways is to think about, what kind of difficult questions do you think you're going to get asked? So when you think about, you know, the product or the program or the service that you're thinking about selling over this next 3 days, for some of you, you might not even have a clue what that is. For those of you that do have an idea of what it is, can you put it in the comments so that I can go back and read all the comments after we finished going live? If you could put it in the comments for me, then I can go and check and see what it is you've written. But if you do have a strong idea around what it is you're going to sell, please put it, and put the price point in the comments as well. And whether you do know what you're going to sell or you don't know what you're going to sell, I want you to think about, you know, why are you so nervous when it comes to selling, or what is it that comes up for you? And if part of that is, you know, oh God, you know, what if they ask me a question and I don't know how to answer it? Well, now's a really good time to get clear about what that is. So what I want you to do is to think, just call to mind right now, just over this next minute or so. And I want you to do it quickly, right? I don't want this to take a long time. I want you to literally, you're going to work with your gut instinct for this whole process. I want you to work with your gut instinct. Don't go too much into thought. I want you to go straight with your gut, because thinking is not going to get you $3,000. Acting, taking action is what's going to get that money in your bank account. Taking action and asking for the money. Those are the two things that are going to get it in there, because you've probably already got everything that it takes, you know, and it might be a little bit of sculpting for you. But in my experience, like when I thought about, okay, $2,500 for a day, come to the boat, we'll do a whole experience. When I pitched that, when I started talking to people, I didn't know what their problem was. I said, hey, look, I was just thinking about you because I've been watching you and I can see that you're wanting to go faster. Am I accurate in that? Are you wanting to go faster than you're going right now? Yes. Okay. So, well, tell me, what are some of the things that are holding you back from getting where you want to go? And they just told me. So I didn't sell to them. I asked them, what are some of the things that are holding you back? And all the things they told me, and I said, well, how quickly do you want to solve these problems? Like, do you really want to solve them? Do you want to solve these in the next like couple of months? Is this something that you're not bothered about? And it's like, well, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, how urgent is this problem for you? And those that it was urgent for, I said, well, okay, well, let's solve it. Here's my suggestion of what we work on. Come and work with me on my boat for the day. And based on what you've told me, these are the points that I think we should really work through. And what I'll do, if you sign up today, I'll throw in a bonus session so that we spend an hour planning this out before you even get to the boat, so that when we're at the boat, you're just knocking these things down. And I was getting immediate yeses. I was sending invoices out the same day. The money was in my account. You know, I mean, that's how quickly this can happen. You don't have to have a massive you know, sales funnel and all those things set up, right? You know, if you're ready to go, then just start serving, because there's someone on the end of the phone or Zoom or Facebook Messenger or Skype or WhatsApp or email, a text message. There's someone on the other end of it that really fucking needs you. And you're putting your shit in the way of changing their life or their business, their health, their wealth, their money, their whatever, fill in the gap, whatever it is you do for them, their home. And if you've got something that will make a difference to them, then it's your duty to let them know, so at least they know. You don't even need to know what you're going to sell them. I didn't know. I just knew that, you know, I'm going to make a day available for you completely. How would you like to fill it? So, you know, this is really about you stepping into your oh fuck zone and saying to yourself, okay, well, for some of you, like John, you've already done a 3K sale today. You know, you might already be selling things at that number. Well, if you're already selling things at that number, I want you to increase the number. Maybe it's 5K in the next 3 days. You've got to do what feels good for you. I said 3K in 3 days because, you know, that would probably be a bit of a significant number for most of the people that are in this community. It'd keep the lights on, it'd, you know, maybe pay the rent or the mortgage. It'd create a little bit of, you know, comfort maybe for some of you. For some of you, you might not even invest that money, but £3,000 in the you know, savings account might be like the best thing for your mental health. Just knowing that it's there. Right, that might be your thing, security. So if your number one thing in your little bullet, your bullseye is security, £3,000 security would give me so much peace of mind. I could start to create without worrying about money. Then, like, you've just bought yourself some mental health insurance. So, you know, like, I don't. Whatever you want to invest that money in, whether you invest it, keep it there, and you just look at it and it makes you feel safe, whatever that does for you, as long as it's doing it, and as long as you're moving forward, and as long as you achieve that target, then let's go for it. Okay. So the biggest thing that you're going to need to think about is, what questions would somebody ask me, or what would they be likely to ask me around this product or this service that I'm going to create for them. And so you sit down and think about what those questions are in advance. And also something good to do if you have more time. Remember, we've got 3 days, so you haven't got time to do a load of research. Like, research is for, another day, for another time. You're going to get 3K in 3 days, then that means we've got to go into fast action. We don't have time to do all this stuff. But you could just very quickly think, okay, what are the top 3 questions people ask me all the time? And just brain dump them. What are the top 3 questions people ask me all the time? And the other thing that I want you to think about is the people that you can serve, that you can make the biggest difference to straight away. Remember, when I sat and thought, this is for people that want to go faster. So they're already doing it, but they want to go faster. They want to accelerate. They want to get there quicker. And people will invest in themselves to collapse the time it takes to get to where they want to go. That's a really important investment to make. Each of us have invested in that way in some way. So how can you create something that becomes a priority for someone else? So what could you do for somebody else? Like, what is a high priority for them in their life? I was having a discussion with one of our other ripple makers via Messenger. I think it was last night. There's a lot's happened in this last 24 hours. I think it was last night. I was just giving some feedback on some graphics and things that they'd put out. And I said, what you've put out there, it looks amazing, but actually you've put the wrong person in the seat. It's not a priority. It wasn't positioned as a priority for the people that you were actually targeting. So it was something that was going to massively benefit every single person that attended this thing. And it was amazing. What they did was absolutely amazing, but not enough people signed up for it. Not enough people attended it, which means loads of people missed out on changing their life and business. And most importantly, their money and their finances. Loads of people missed out because they didn't attend it. But they didn't attend it because none of the graphics, none of the positioning of it was a high enough priority for the people that they really wanted to attract to it. So it's either wrong product or wrong audience. One of those two is going to be wrong thing, right? So think about what I did. I sat down, who is it that wants to go? This is for somebody that really wants to go faster. If I'm going to commit a day of my life, which I will never get back, if I'm going to pour myself for a day into somebody else, then that's got to be something that creates significant value for them, but it's also got to be something that impacts me and my business, because I make my ripple of impact through others. And if they're not making their ripple of impact, I'm not making mine. And every brand I work with is a reflection of my brand. So if I'm going to take a day of my life to work with somebody, that person better be a fucking action taker that's going to take that advice and go and do it and implement it instantly. I don't want to work with somebody that's going to do it and then not go out there and do it, because that hurts me. It physically hurts me when that happens, because I feel like that was a waste of my day. So, we've got to create something that's a high priority. So think to yourself, what skill or talent do you have right now that someone needs as a high priority? And what is that high priority? What is happening for them right now that you can solve, that you can collapse that time gap, that by them investing in you, it's gone and it's done, or by investing in you, the plan is there, or investing in you, the graphics is done, investing in you, this has happened. And investing in you means that, investing that extra, whatever you're going to get them to invest in, say Chris Waldron, for example, who creates the most beautiful Victorian doors, stunning doors, all like handmade, beautifully finished, He does all the glass and the stained glass windows and all that, right? And it's so much love goes into every single piece that he creates. I don't think he's on the challenge because he's off on his wedding anniversary. Hello, Chris, if you come back and watch this. But for Chris, like, that investment could be collapsing the gap on the amount of time that it takes to deliver the product. So whereas they might be in like a 10-month wait, might be in a 10-month queue to get their door, by investing that extra 3,000, they could have it in 6 weeks. So he's collapsing. So that there's a value there for them to be able to collapse the time gap from seeing it and having it, right? So I hope this is coming some things to your mind around, you know, like Polly, public speaker coaching, like absolutely amazing storytelling, you know, usually for people that have already invested in public speaking and then have invested all this money in public speaking, they still haven't got their story right. So they're still not getting out there and speaking because they haven't got that element of their story. So like Polly, you know, what could you do with somebody, you know, that's like 3 clients investing £1,000 with you over the next month to go from got all these skills in speaking, but I'm not out there making a difference money because I'm embarrassed of my story or I don't know what to say, to in the next 30 days out there, 5 speaking gigs, each and every one of them sharing that story, building their list, building their income, building their impact, growing everything around their brand. Like there's at least 3 people on the planet that will invest £1,000 with you to collapse that and in the next 30 days have that result. There's 1 person in the world that will invest 3,000 in you to have that. Right? So who are those people and why would they make it a high priority? So think about what it is that you do and who is it that is perfect? Who is at that stage where they want to take immediate action and they will collapse that gap to work with you and achieve a result quickly? So that's really the thing that we're wanting to do over the next 3 days. We want to achieve a result quickly. And to do that, you've got to do something that's going to be a high priority for them. So the second thing, just going to have a glass of water here. Is anything coming up? Have you got any questions actually as we go through? And guys and girls that are backstage with me, if you've got any questions, put them in the Zoom. Like, you can put them in Facebook as well, but put them in Zoom if you'd like me to bring you up on screen and answer some of those questions when I've finished delivering this little bit of training. So we talked about it a little while ago. It's like, what are the highest priorities? But the second thing is, what objections could they raise that would put that deal in jeopardy? And that might be something else that comes up for you as a fear. So the more you can deal with this now, the easier it's going to be when you're on that call, when you're having that conversation with them. So what objections, what objections are you most fearful of getting? So it's not necessarily even objections that they have, but what are the objections you're fearful of getting? Like, get them out of you right now. Like those fears and those objections, they're probably hanging around in your nervous system. Get them out of your nervous system, through your fingers into the comments here. Like, get them out, because, you know, if I see some things that are coming up and they're coming up consistently, I'll do another challenge around it. I'll create another mini course or program around it. I'll do whatever it freaking takes to make sure that each and every one of you are making your ripple of impact, because I don't make my ripple of impact if you're not making yours. And my brand is affected when you don't go out there and make your ripple of impact. Which means if my brand is affected, then my business is affected. If my business is affected, my life's affected. There's a whole ripple of impact that happens. If I don't show up and support you to get what you want, you can't help others to get what they want. And therefore I don't get anything that I want, right? So it should be a win for you, a win for your customers, and a win for the universe, as my friend Matt says. So what objections is it that you're actually worried about? These might not be objections you've even had, but what are they? Because what we can then do is see the opposite, right? So if so let's have a look, see if we've got any objections that have come out on here. Collapse the gap. Yeah, Lisa, definitely for you, like with your horse buying service, you're collapsing the gap for them. So have we got any objections, guys and girls? Let's have a look in there. We haven't got any comments. You're all putting, thank you. I did ask you to do that, putting all your comments in Facebook for me. Let me just refresh the page and see what objections we've got here. I can't see all the comments for some reason. I see there are comments, but I can't see them all. Have we got any objections coming up in here? Any in the Zoom room? Anything you're fearful of that you have no evidence of yet, but you're fearful of it? You're fearful of it happening. If it's not, don't worry, I'll just move on. But if there is, then like now is the time to start bringing those things to the surface. So the key thing is that if you experience those objections before you get into the room, it's so much easier for you when you're actually in the room. Then you're not stressed about it. You're not, worried about it. It's like, if your fear is that they're going to say no, then move in the opposite direction. Well, what if they say yes? If your fear is, what if they say yes and then I can't deliver on my promise, then go the opposite direction. What if I deliver on my promise and they love it and tell everyone about it, right? So whatever that objection is, I want you to make that list of objections. Those, I suppose, could be otherwise known as fears, otherwise termed as fears. Like get them all out, get them out of your nervous system, get them onto paper or put them in the comments, so that it's out of your system and you're then able to say, okay, well, on one side, you could write them down on one sheet. I suppose you get a sheet of paper and put a line down it on the left-hand side. What are all the fears? What are all the objections you're worried about getting? And on the right-hand side, do the, well, what if I didn't? And what if and do the best case scenario. So take that fear or that objection, and on the right-hand side, best case scenario, what would be the best thing that could happen? Because I know that you're a person of integrity, so whatever you write on that right hand side, you'll live up to it, you'll stand up to it. So it's really important to push towards those outcomes that you want. 4, we want to visualize that most positive outcome. So once you've brain dumped it, I want you to visualize in it, marinate in it. So take that top biggest objection that you're worried about getting. It's too much money. All right, say you get an objection, it's too much money, I can't afford it. Okay, well, what if you could offer a payment plan? Like I've had conversations with people where I've said, the mastermind currently, to invest in the mastermind for a year is 3,000. It will be going up. To invest in it for 3,000 a year, what would you need to do to be able to invest in that? And I have people that say to me, well, what if I gave you 750 now? And then I gave you 750, blah, 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 right? And I let them come up with their thing, right? I don't set that for them. Yeah, I've got a payment plan. I've got all those things set up. But am I going to get that or let that get in the way of a really good quality person that could be making an even bigger ripple of impact? If I can collapse the gap for them, then it's my duty to help them to do it by them coming up with their solution. I'm not going to tell them what to do. As a business, if you're growing as a business, if you're creating a subscription or membership, that's not a great way to grow long term. But if you need some seed capital at the beginning and someone you really, really like needs some help, then ask them to come up with, okay, well, what do you suggest for you to have invested in this and me collapse this gap for you to get exactly what you want in the time that you want it? What can you do? And you have them answer it. Stop trying to come up with all the answers. Most of the time, the reason why you're going into these objections and panic is because you're trying to preempt their answers, which is like, you're so in your head, you're not even hearing them speak. You're not even being conscious when you're in these conversations with people. So once you've got that list there and you're like, right, well, they're saying yes, I'm delivering on my promises. They're referring me to all these other people. They're saying to me, they're telling me what they can afford. They're setting their payment plan and I'm setting standing orders up. And all of a sudden I've got all this money dripping in. Not only have I got 3 in the next 3 days, but actually what I've sold is a solution where it means I'm going to have 3K every month for the next 6 months. So I sold this to 6 people at XYZ, right? So, but you can't do this unless you start having conversations with people. You've got to start having conversations with them pretty much straight away. The best salespeople I know are those that they get quiet, they channel into the product or the program that they're talking about, if that's what they're going to do. Maybe they're just making calls to find out what people need and responding like I did. But if you've got something specific, they'll sit there and they'll close their eyes and they get really into seeing that client living that life, being the demonstration of the result, visualizing the best case scenario, and they get it so strong in their mind, then they hit the phone, because they know it's their duty to make sure that that person on the other end lives that life. And if they don't know that kind of life is an opportunity, if they haven't tasted it, if they haven't seen it, and they didn't realize it was even possible, then, you know, you've just sat there really quiet and they've carried on living a life that is less than it could be, because you didn't make that call. So visualize the very best positive outcome, and just kind of play those scenarios out in your mind. Live that dream with them, live it for them for a little bit, so that when you're with them, you can start painting that picture. Like, what if I could collapse that time gap for you? What if in the next 3 months you could have your funnel set up and you could have all these this and this and this? What if you had that in place? Like, what would it do for your life? Instead of you struggling for the next year trying to learn how to do all this yourself, what if I could work with you, you know, and collapse that time for you? What would that be worth to you? What would you be willing to invest in that? So it's just asking questions, isn't it? And then if doubt creeps in, which is point 5, if doubt creeps in, you can immediately shift your focus, because you've got it in front of you. If this comes up, this objection comes up, this is the what if I'm going to go to. If this little sneaky thing comes up, this is what I'm going to go to. If this sneaky thing comes up, this is what I'm going to go to. So I actually think it'd be really good for you to get that sheet of paper, draw a line, and get the you know, objections and fears. And here are the what ifs. Put that in there. I'd love to see them actually do it, and then take a picture of it and get it in the group. Because the other thing, you know, point 6 is to look for micro commitment. You know, sometimes what we do is we get so focused on the big thing that you want to sell. It's like, oh my God, $3,000. Okay, what can I sell to one person for 3,000? Well, actually, it might be that you need to talk to 10 people who invest £300 each. Right. And like Kerry Bartley, a great example of that. We said, well, what could you handle? This was at the beginning. And she said, well, I could probably coach 6 people a month, because she was in a full-time job as well. 6 people a month in a mastermind, a little public speaking support system that she was setting up as a side hustle so that she could leave her job. And her intention was to create £2,000 a month initially. Some of you will know Kerry's story. So she aimed for £2,000 a month. And I said, well, let's go for 3, because tax and stuff is going to come off of that. So let's aim for you providing value for 3 months to a small group of 6 people at £500 a month. And so that's what Kerry did. And she put that together. And actually, it took her so little time to deliver for that group, because she was putting them through it as a group, not one-to-one, that she said, I've actually got time to have another group. And so then she set up a second group, and then she started to, you know, because as she built that need and as she started to get case studies, that's actually what created her tomorrow's money. So right now we're looking at 3K in 3 days. This is our today's money. But as you are building momentum around today's money, what you're actually doing is, for those people that say no to you now, that doesn't mean they're a no never. It just means they're a no not yet. So this 3K in 3 days, the conversations you have will start to open up a channel. And even those people that say no to you, or, you know, it's nice and no, not, I just can't do it, I can't afford to do it. Look for a micro commitment from them then. So, okay, well, what if you were to invest £100 a month right now? I know you can't do 3,000 right now, but what if you invested £100 a month? What could I do for you that would be of value, that you'd feel like you got really good value from me for £100 a month, but it meant that you were taking at least one step towards where it is you want to go? What would that look like? And get them to paint that picture for you. Just stop trying to make everything fucking up for them, right? Stop trying to make it up. Let them tell you, like, what could I provide you of value? If I were to say to you, I'm setting up a membership for £100 a month, what would you need to receive from me? What would I need to do for you? Or what would I need to provide for you that means that you'd feel really good about that exchange? So you see how these things, it starts to create stuff. Then you're co-creating with the people that you're serving. You're not just telling them, this is what we're going to do. This is what you're buying, right? Have them co-create with you, because it creates the most exciting businesses. All the businesses that I have been co-created because I listen and respond. I listen and respond. I listen and respond. Very rarely will I make something up first. This is a great example. Me laying there 4 o'clock this morning. I had a really bad dream, actually. Really bad. I was staying at Yoka's house last night in Portsmouth because she was taking me to the port this morning to meet my family to bring the kids over to France. And I had this really bad dream. I was out. I was in a house that I think I've been in the house like this. Actually, my friend Burge Smith Lyons, her house in Atlanta, a massive, great big house, big mansion house. It was like that. So it felt very familiar. And Greg was there, and I had my dogs. And I walked out into the garden, and the garden was like the garden from my childhood home. Now, Burge doesn't have a garden like this. This was definitely my childhood garden, but a bigger garden, much bigger. It's like the same, but bigger scale. And I was outside walking the dogs. I had them all on a lead. And I noticed this big, it was like a black panther, but it was like a bear-sized panther. And it had these really like strong green eyes. And it was just watching, and it looked like it was going to pounce. And I saw this thing, shrieked, grabbed the dog, probably the worst thing you could ever do if you ever saw one in real life, grabbed the dogs and rushed them inside. And I remember getting into the house and feeling really, really like fearful of this black energy outside that was like, you know, these piercing green eyes, like I'm coming for you kind of thing. And then I remember I must have skipped forward in this dream where the dogs really needed a wee. I mean, the things you dream, right? The dogs really needed a wee. And I was saying to Greg, I've got to take them out. They're going to have to go out. And he said, all right, just stay in the front part of the garden. Don't go far. And so we're in the garden, and we've got 4 dogs and 2 cats, right? And so we're walking, and they always come for a walk. There's all 6 of us that go for a walk. And Molly, one of my cats, starts meowing behind me. And I look at Molly, and she's looking at this thing, and it's really close, and these big piercing green eyes. And I'm like, I can feel my heart boom, like really like bouncing out of my chest. And I feel like I want to run, but then my conscious mind in my dream kicks in. It's like the worst thing you could do is run. So just really small steps. So I pick up in my dream, I pick up the 2 small yappy little fuckers that just yap at anything. So I pick them up so they don't start causing attention, and we're walking really slowly, and we get back into the house. I close the door, and just this sigh of relief. And I like at this point I'm awake, and I'm consciously making the dream end how I want it to end. At this point I'm like, yeah, I don't want to like know what happens if I don't think. I'm consciously creating the end of this dream. And as I'm there in this kind of dream state, I'm there with my hands against the back of the door, and I can feel my breathing. This is like 4 o'clock this morning. I can feel my breathing like really erratic. And I said, you know, like, why are you showing me this? Why are you showing me this? Like, that was a fucking horrible dream. Why have you given me that dream? And then it came to me clear as anything. This is what most business owners feel like. And I went, fucking hell. This is what most business owners feel like. Like, you know, there's always that wolf at the door or whatever, you know, there's that thing that, you know, if business isn't going well, or if you're not making money as fast as you want to or need to, or if something happens. I had a conversation with one of our ripple makers yesterday who's had the most awful circumstances, like a bang, bang, bang. Like every time she like starts to raise her head up, something else hits her, you know, to knock her down again. And I just thought, you know, this is what it's like, and it can be like that in business. But if we stick together and we move slowly, and it might seem counterintuitive, got to move fast. Like I'm there with the dogs, and I'm like, okay, got to move slowly. It might seem counterintuitive to do that in a business, but actually when you slow down, you can massively speed up. You can really accelerate what you're doing. So that reminds me of like the micro commitment, those small steps. It might be that your client is that scared person, and they're like, oh, but I really want to take that step, but I can't. Maybe I just need to take smaller steps right now. So just have an idea in your mind about, okay, well, if this is the big thing that I'd really love them to invest in, what would some of those micro commitments look like along the way that will lead them towards that? Maybe you already have some ideas around that. Maybe you just need to do what I did, pick up the phone and start having conversations with people to find out what would those steps look like. I think you're going to gather a lot of intelligence around doing that. The next thing is to celebrate every no. Celebrate every no. That might also seem counterintuitive. Like you've got a no, you've got a no, you've got a no, and you're just like, oh, everybody's saying no. Hopefully there won't be, but if they do, just remember that that's another step closer to a yes. Every person that says no to you is actually really helping you. It's helping you because it's sculpting you. Every person that says no to you, like, so why? So I'd love some feedback. Why is this a no for you? It's a no for me because you know, I see that you're working with these kind of people, and obviously you don't work with people like me. Okay, that's good. So next time I can be more clued up about this. Here's the perfect person that I work with, and I do work with people here, but also I've got this amazing service here that works with these. Now you've removed that objection. Every no that you come up against is another massive leap forward towards the next yes. So celebrate every no. I just got a no. Brilliant. Just got some feedback. Right, next. And just, you know, sales is a numbers game, and it is a game. So see this as fun. See this as a fun game that you're going to play for the next 3 days, because actually you're going to have some fun serving people in a really amazing way. And by serving them, you're going to be rewarded financially for that. Everyone wins. So just a couple of other points before we wrap up for today's session is be explicit about what you're frightened of. And we touched on this a little bit earlier. So if one of those objections is something that actually creates big fear, like visceral fear, feeling it in your body fear, then come back to that, the list that we talked about earlier, visualize it. And if you feel that fear coming up as you visualize it, then pour love on it. Pour love on it, you know, almost like if that fear were a fire, if that fear were a flame, and you poured love on it, it would just put that flame out. So pour more love onto it. How could I love my clients even more? How could I, you know, love on them so much that actually they just can't resist it. They can't say no, because it's too much of a good deal. It's too much of a good opportunity. And actually the investment is a really sound investment for them. So pour love on it. How can you pour more love on it? And the other thing is to think about success stories. So if you do have some success stories from people you've already worked with, it would be good for you to think about some of them now before you start making those calls. Start thinking about those success stories so that you can quote them when you're talking to people. And if you haven't worked with anyone before, say you're new in business and you haven't had a client yet, well, that's okay too. What you can do is say, look, you've seen the success stories, people that have gone from 0 to 10,000. You've seen the success stories, people that have lost that 3 stone in weight. You know, these success stories exist, and I've got a system that can help you to get there. So you paint the picture of stuff that already exists in the world. If you don't have those case studies for yourself and those success stories, use a film, right? Is there something in a film that you know, is a famous film that they'll definitely know? You want to make sure you're using a film that they'll definitely know, where it has a really good ending, right? Well, if that film is painting the picture of the life that your client wants, and that's a priority for them, then you're painting that picture. You're sowing that seed. My friend Matt calls it a vision seed. You're sowing that vision seed, and then all you've got to do is pour water on it. All they've got to do is pay you to pour water on it, and everything grows. Right? So you know, quit any thinking around you know, whatever, you know, slimy salespeople or whatever. You know, you're not that person anyway. If ever you start to feel any of those feelings come up, pour more love on it, pour more compassion on it, pour more service into it, and, you know, just start hitting the phones and saying, hey, listen, I was thinking about you, and you know, I know that something that you're really interested in is this, or just go and have a look at people's profiles, go and have a look, see what it is they're talking about. Hey, you're talking about this all the time. Actually, that is something that I do, and I'd love to know, how could I provide value to you that you would be willing to invest in, so that I could help you to get that thing that you're saying you want, because it's a value match. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. And, if ever you do feel demotivated or unworthy or guilty, or any, maybe there's something that didn't quite work out in the past and you're applying that thinking to this conversation that we're having right now, then that's not going to get you what you want. So just come back to, why did I start this business in the first place? Why did I get into this in the first place? What was it that compelled me to do this thing that I'm doing? What am I fighting for, or what am I fighting against? There'll be something that caused you, a cause of your own that caused you to be doing this. Keep coming back to that part of yourself. Yes, that's why I'm doing it. So your activity for today, by the way, actually, before I go into the activity, I mentioned it earlier, I'm just going to sum it up. We're going to wrap up here. But before I do, what's coming up for you? What's coming up for you? And by the way, if any of you have a question backstage for me, I'll stick around and answer some questions, or I'll brainstorm with some of you. If you like, can you raise your hand? Obviously, those of you that are mastermind members, you're backstage with me right now. Raise your hand, and I'll come to you and answer those questions. But your homework, let's go into your homework, and I want to see your homework. I want you to do it. Don't make it hard for yourself. Remember, give yourself a timeline, and just focus on getting it done in that timeline. So I want you to draw your target, and I want in the middle of that target, that's going to be like, what's your biggest reason why for this 3K? What's your biggest reason why? What are you going to invest that in, or what is that 3,000 going to do for you? The next ring round is, what is it going to do for your clients? So for you to have what a priority. Yeah. So we're going to do priorities. For you to get what you want, you've got to help them get what they want. So what are those priorities that you can solve? Things that are priority for someone right now, it's actually a priority pain, and you can solve that priority pain for them. It's no good you just creating services that have fancy names and you overbrand them. What we need to do is focus on what is that priority. Okay. And then in the outer ring, if there are any fears or objections or any things that are coming up for you, let's get them out there. Let's put them there so that you can look at them and say, do you know what? When that comes up, here's what I'm going to do about it. So that is your challenge for today. So I'm going to get your head in the right place. You can start making sales calls tomorrow. I'd love it if you did start pre-qualifying some people, go through your social media. Who are you connected with? Get your phone, have a look. What contacts are you already connected to? Who have you met at networking events over the years, or business events, or people you've connected with, people you're on LinkedIn with? Who are you already connected to that you could start arranging calls with them, right? You can start arranging calls with them so that on day 3, right, you're going to need to line those calls up so that on day 3, you're like, oh my God, I'm having this conversation with this person. I think this is going to close, right? At least be having those closing calls with them by day 3. Today, get your head right, get focused on the goal so that when you're on that phone, you're ticking it all off. I'm seeing this target behind my laptop as we do this. Today, we've spent a bit longer going through these because mindset is such a massive topic, and we needed a bit longer for this one. But for the next couple of days, it'll be around 30 minutes to 45 minutes for the next 2 days, the training and getting shit done. So I'm going to bring that to a close right now. For those of you that have a hard finish and you want to get going, you want to go do it, go make it happen. I'd love to see your homework. If you create that little picture of your target, it doesn't have to be pretty. You can pretty it up if you want to. You can go into Canva and make it all nice and gorgeous. But if even if you get a post-it note and drew it on a post-it note and took a picture of it and put that into the group, I'd rather you actually spent less time on making it pretty and spent more time on serving, more time on selecting people that you're going to have conversations with. So, you know, things can look pretty later, right? You know, from a branding perspective, like, I know that probably sounds a bit random coming from a branding expert, but we can make that pretty later. This thing is just for you. No one else, obviously we're going to share it in the group, but no one else, your clients aren't going to see it. So, you know, be really truthful and honest with yourself about this piece. And for those of you that are staying, that do have a question, I'm happy to stick around for a few minutes to answer questions. Have we got any questions? Or are we all good? Are you all ready to go and do your homework? Oh, yes, I can see we've got some brilliant targets there. Nadine, are you willing to come up on screen and share what you're going to put in your target? Ooh. Are you willing to do that? You don't have to. I'm not calling you out. You
go on then, you put me, go on.
All right. Okay, let's play. So I'm going to pin you on here. Hopefully it will show the both of us on the screen right now. So Nadine, circle, the center circle, what's your real target for you?
I put security.
Fantastic. So that 3,000 will buy you security. So what's it actually buying you? If it's buying you security, is it peace of mind security? Is it, what sort of security is it buying you?
Security of my business. So I'm very aware that my technology and all that kind of stuff is just not what takes me 3 days, and that's not an exaggeration, will probably take someone else 3 minutes. Literally, that's where I'm aware, you know, the next time stops. So for me, that will give me the security that someone can do that for me, and then I can just do what I love doing, which is having conversations with people and helping people. So that's it's
and there is a side benefit to that. So when you've got all those funnels and the tech and everything set up, what will that enable you to do as a business?
Help more people.
Fantastic. So like with mine, there's a double benefit, isn't there? So yes, I'm going to invest in things to make it easier for me, but by making it easier for myself, I can serve more people. I can help more people to get what they want, to live consciously, live a life consciously on their terms.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. So what is the urgent priority? What's going in your second ring of your target?
Well, I actually have only, if you can see, I've only just done the first bit.
Yeah.
That first bit. I've only just put in that one. So I haven't. Can you just give me a little bit more clarity on that again, please?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's what is a priority for that person that you know, for example, you talked about space clearing the other day when I was on the train yesterday, and we were having a conversation backwards and forwards on the train. And you talked about, should I just get rid of that? Right. And I said, I wouldn't get rid of it. I would bundle it in, because it actually is part of the mix. You know, it's not the whole thing. So in other words, what I was saying to you was, it's not the priority.
Yes. Okay.
Right. So it is a thing. It's a part of this, but it's not the priority. What is the number one priority for them? And you might not be able to answer that for me right now, but what I want to do is make you conscious of it. You've got it?
Yeah, no, I've got it. So that's like on another level, as you said. So what I'm hearing from the clients I have, the people I'm speaking to, is feeling lost, and feeling overwhelmed, and confused. So is that where we're going with that? That's the priority. Is that what you meant? No.
Yes. You're getting there. You're getting there. But I'm glad I picked
a charade. Come on, 2 syllables.
No, I'm really glad that we're working on this, right? So yes, feeling stuck, feeling lost, feeling overwhelmed, that's what they're feeling. But there will be a situation or something that is happening in their life, or something that's happening in their body that is making this a priority now, right? So it might be they've had a health scare. I had this conversation actually with Donna Riley. Hello, Donna, if you're watching. Donna was talking about her next challenge, and she's one of my private clients. So we were talking about what she would do with her challenge and how she was going to grow it, and her Miracles Through Movement 4-day experience. And we were talking about her ideal client. And, you know, I said to her, well, the thing is that, you know, it's not a priority, because yes, health and wellness is a priority. For Donna, it is a non-negotiable priority. Mm. But for the people she's attracting, it's not a priority. It's a nice thing to do. It's a thing that is like, oh, it's 5 o'clock. Do I want to attend that? Right? It's not a priority for them. I said, who is this a priority for? And she said, well, and we brainstormed it for a bit. She said, you know, people that have been really fit and they've had a level of fitness and they've enjoyed that. In fact, Jackie, you were part of that conversation, and Jackie was like, I'm your ideal customer, right? I used to be really fit. The job took over my life, and now I haven't got that level of fitness anymore. I feel sluggish. I haven't got energy, and I want to get back to that fitness. I want to get back to feeling as good as I did then. There you go. You just hit on a priority. You're in a corporate role. Work has taken over, or your business has taken over your life. You're not looking after your health. Your body's starting to let you know you're breaking down. Before you break down, let's break the cycle. Now it's become a priority for them. And so I feel that's what we've got to do with you, is you've been getting closer and closer on the mastermind sessions around selecting who that dream customer is going to be. But I think what we've got to do for you for this 3K in 3 days is say, who are the customers that are making this the highest priority? So what's going on in their life that they say, fuck it, I'm not doing this on my own anymore. I need to find an expert. What is that point? Is it that they have a nervous breakdown? Do they experience a massive health challenge? Is there, like, there's something that happens, Nadine. There's going to be something that happens to all of your clients, and you'll find the thread. There'll be a golden thread.
I don't know if it's my internet or yours.
Oh, could be mine. But
back. Golden thread.
I'm back. Yeah, golden thread. There'll be something that connects all of your clients.
I think it's definitely what I'm noticing on the social media and having those interactions with people is it's the negative thought patterns. It's the thought patterns which are just taking over, and I'm not realizing it's just thoughts.
Yeah, but at what point does it become a priority? See, this is where you got to get to, is at what point in their life does it become a priority?
Well, they're bordering on insanity, I think. Just constantly thinking.
So what would they be doing? What would their life look like? If they're bordering on insanity, what action are they doing? What do they notice that they're doing? What behavior are they expressing?
Oh, I love a bit of excavation. Right, hang on.
See, I mean, I'm just going to throw it out there because of time, but it might be that what you find when you really get down to it, what you find is that your dream clients are constantly getting heartburn. I mean, I'm just going back to when it was happening for me, when I was going through my kind of conscious awakening.
The stress and anxiety, the stress, the feelings in the body, just like, and then just feeling panic. That, oh God, I'm sick.
So panic attacks and heartburn. Panic attacks, heartburn, acid reflux. Right? Are you experiencing any of these three things? If you are, that is your body telling you that you can't digest what you are doing anymore. Your heart is letting you know. Your body is creating panic attacks to hold a mirror up for you, to say, when are you going to stop living your life in this way? And if you're ready to stop living your life in this way and start listening to your body, start listening to the conscious awakening that is ready to move through you, you need to book the link that I've put below here. Let's have a 15-minute clarity call and find out what is your conscious awakening, because everyone has a different awakening on the same journey. So what is yours? Click on that button to find out.
Okay.
I mean, I'm making this up as I'm
no, it's good to
long, but I'm just thinking there's going to be a priority. Like for me, that priority was ending up in hospital with suspected heart attacks. That was my priority. That was the thing where I just went, I'm not living like this anymore. So for me, it was a health thing. And for most people that I meet that have gone through an awakening like this, it has been because of a health issue.
Yes. Okay.
So it's you now have to excavate, if that's how you say it, excavate, and work out what is that health issue? What is the number one health issue that is coming up as a universal experience for all of my clients that is giving them the highest kick in the ass to say, when are you going to fucking listen to this?
Yeah, enough's enough. Yeah.
Enough's enough. I'm going to make living my life consciously and purposefully and intentionally and lovingly and passionately and soulfully a fucking priority. And I'm going to make it a priority in the next 3 months.
No, 3 days.
Yeah, well, but you might say 3 months. So over 3 days, you might sell 3 people onto your 3-month program at £1,000 each. Right, so it might be that you might sell 1 person onto 3,000. You might have 3 people buy 1,000. You might have 6 people buy
1,800. My course, my programs that I'm selling at the moment, 1,800.
So that's 2. So 2 people buying that would get your 3K in 3 days. However, if they say no and they need a micro step, what are you going to do? Right, so that's when you can say to them, well, look, my program is usually 18,000 for this amount of time. But what could you do? If they say, no, I can't do that, well, what could you do? That's what I want your response to be. But what could you do?
Actually,
how could we move towards it?
Yeah, I've got a client who I had today, and his staff, interesting. Well, we're having this conversation again, and you said it earlier. What a surprise. His staff, he wants to, he's not, I know you're laughing, he's not getting that. The reflection is his house, his staff. And I kind of just said, oh, well, maybe we can work out a program. So I'm going to go back to him tomorrow morning now and say, you have this with your staff and their health problems. I'm just going to use that. What can we do? Instead of trying to fix it, what can we do?
Yeah. And using that language, what's the highest priority for you right now?
Yeah. Well, that is his highest
priority. This is the thing that we do. We make it. Sorry.
No, his highest priority is to get 11 staff in on track. So he already voiced that. It's great. So that could be
great. That's his priority. So what you don't do is say, well, your priority is to get all your staff on track. My priority is to sell you an £1,800 program that takes you through a spiritual awakening. And it's like, there's no fucking match there.
So he's already bought that. He's already got that. He's already got that. It's his staff now. I'm just thinking of that.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just kind of, I'm being flippant. Sorry. I suppose to make it relevant to everybody, it's like, we go in with this fixed thing of what we're going to sell. And then they tell us, well, you ask them, what's your highest priority? And they tell you, and you go, oh yeah, but, well, that's your priority, but my program is this. Right, so I'm saying this for everyone, not just for you, Nadine. So obviously you've got the experience where he's bought this and you can now sell this to his team, which is great. You've already got trust there. Your 3K is sat right there. So for those of you that are in this position as well, this is a great opportunity for you to just say, okay, well, am I asking my potential clients, what is your highest priority right now? Because if I'm not asking them that question, all you're doing is trying to sell them something that they don't need or that they don't see as a need. So do you see, Nadine, how like that priority piece as a sales piece, that priority piece is like the most important conversation you can actually have with them?
Yeah.
Because what we see as a priority when we're in our mind over it, like coming up with all the stuff, and what they see as a priority when they're actually in the shit of it and the thickness of it and the energy of it, they're going to have a different interpretation of what those two things are. And our job really is just to bring the language together so we close the gap completely.
Oh.
Make sense? Awesome sauce. Thank you for being willing to play, Nadine. I'll look forward to hearing what conversation you have tomorrow.
I'll let you know.
That'll be amazing. So guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. It's just gone. We've been going for like an hour and 20 minutes now. I really hope that you took something away from this, that you go and do something with this tomorrow. I want you to create your target. I want you to start pre-qualifying. Who do you already know that you can reach out to, that you can have this conversation with, that you can just bring up and say, hey, I was thinking about you today. How's it going? Let them tell you how, has anybody asked you how you are recently? I know that you're out there helping everybody else, but how are you? Just have a how are you conversation. And then bring it in. Hey, listen, one of the things I'm doing right now is phoning up people that I'd love to work with and asking, what is your highest priority right now? What's happening for you in your life or your business or whatever area it is? What's happening for you? How can I help? Sammy, I know that you're working with brides and you're on a mission to support all these amazing brides, but maybe you can think of some people right now who have already got married. Maybe they're in that first 6 months of marriage and they're already feeling the strain. Maybe it's time for you to ramp that piece up before you do the wedding piece. It's that time of year where lots of weddings are already happening. If you didn't get in enough time, then we can't wait until next year for the season to come around again. We've got to think, okay, well, what can I do now that will support people? And maybe it's, those still within the same culture, but it's just you work with them at a different period. Like you find out what is the highest priority for them. And obviously they've already got married now, so they don't need that bit, but what they need is the bit that you've already planned that you're going to take them through once they've got married. So maybe you need to bring that forward a little bit for yourself right now. And that's just an idea. I mean, that might be completely wrong for you, right? You've got to feel into it. Like I said, intuition is going to be your friend for this next 3 days. You've got to feel into what feels right for me to go out there and serve in the biggest way. Who would I love to serve? And how can I support them to make that thing that's the highest priority for them? How can I support them to get exactly what they want using the skills that I've already got? How can we create a value exchange around that? So well done. You are complete on day 1 training. This is a 3-day, 3-step process. So today is mindset, get your head in the game, get your skin in the game, and start getting those conversations lined up so that on day 3, you are just having those conversations with as many people as possible. If you feel ready, if you've got it in your mind, I've got this vision, I can see this vision, I'm holding this vision for them, I'm holding this vision for their team. I want to start talking to as many people as possible to help them achieve that vision because I know that I can. And start reaching out to people tomorrow. Just do it. Those of you that are in other parts of the world right now, you've got a lot more day left your day than we have in ours. Maybe you want to reach out and contact 2 or 3 people today. Don't let anything hold you back over this next 3 days. Fear creeps in, hold the vision. If any lurking things come in, look at those objections, go to the most positive thing, right? You've got all these tools, things that I've mentioned to you already, and I'll put them in the description. I'll go copy and paste all of my notes into the description with this video once we're done here. And, and just stick to the plan. And remember, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about what you sound like, what you look like, how qualified you are, how many degrees you've got coming out of your yin yang. People do not give a flying fuck about any of that stuff. And if they do, that's great. Deal with those objections later. But 99 times out of 100, I mean, probably 100 times out of 100, I've never had anybody say to me, how qualified are you? Because I show up in my qualification, right? I demonstrate that I'm qualified. I don't need to tell everyone what certificates and things I've got. And I have those things, but actually they mean nothing. They mean nothing to the businesses that I work with. The life experience that I've got means something to them. My ideas, my creativity, the fun that I can inject into people's businesses, the speed at which we can implement something and accelerate it. They're my superpowers. I can see gaps where other people can't see those gaps. I can see solutions in those gaps that they can't see because they're so fucking close to their business. I see them because it's easy for me to see them because I'm on the outside. I'm not emotionally attached to that business. You probably have superpowers that also are along some of those lines. It's time to start selling those superpowers. So have an amazing 24 hours. I'll look forward to seeing you same time, same place tomorrow. And whatever's come up for you, make sure you share it here. Oh my gosh, you're in such an amazing community here, a loving, supportive community. If you're going to go through a process like this in the safest way, here is the place to do it. So get the help, get the support you need. And Ripple Makers Mastermind members, remember, you've got the group chat as well. You can get help in there. And I'm keeping an eye on that chat. So I'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. And I want to see your targets. So let's do this. Mwah. Give me a hashtag 1 year no fear. Let's make this happen. All right, my darlings. Take care. Mwah. See you tomorrow.